He was just buying bread. But what he saw hanging in that bakery would have changed his life forever. If only he hadn't hesitated. In this story, you are about to hear the story of a man who saw an opportunity others couldn't see, who recognized its value instantly, understood its worth completely, and still lost it. Not because he wasn't smart. Not because he didn't have the means. But because he waited. This is a story about hesitation, about the dangerous belief that there will always be more time, and about how one small decision can change everything. As you listen, you might begin to see parts of your own life in it, chances you delayed, opportunities you told yourself would still be there tomorrow. But the truth is, not every moment waits. And sometimes, the ones we let pass, never come back. The doors of Caleb Turner's bakery in Denver opened like any other normal afternoon. Nothing about the place suggested that anything life-changing could ever happen inside it. The warm smell of fresh bread drifted into the street, mixing with the cool city air, pulling in customers who only wanted something simple to eat. Caleb himself was behind the counter, calm as always. He wasn't thinking about wealth, opportunities, or anything beyond the next batch of dough rising in the back. His life had always been built on routine: wake up early, bake, serve customers, close shop, repeat. To him, that was enough. The bakery was small but inviting. Wooden shelves lined the walls, filled with loaves of bread, pastries, and a few unusual decorations Caleb had collected over time. Old picture frames, small handmade sculptures, and random trinkets gave the place a strange charm. Customers often noticed them, but Caleb rarely explained where they came from. He didn't care about value or history. If something looked interesting, he bought it. That was all. Most people found it harmless, just a quirky habit of a simple baker trying to make his shop feel less empty. Caleb was wiping the counter when the bell above the door rang softly. A customer stepped in, ordered bread, and left without anything unusual happening. Another followed. Then another. Everything felt ordinary. Too ordinary. But sometimes, life doesn't announce change with noise. Sometimes it slips in quietly, disguised as another normal moment, waiting for the right person to notice it. And in just a short while, someone would walk into that bakery. The bell above the bakery door rang softly, but something about it felt different. Caleb looked up, expecting a regular customer. Instead, a woman stepped in slowly, as if the weight of the world was pressing her down. She paused near the entrance, scanning the room like she wasn't sure she belonged there. Her clothes were worn, her face tired, and her eyes carried a quiet urgency that didn't need words to be understood. "Good afternoon," Caleb said calmly. She hesitated before approaching the counter, clutching a small pouch tightly in her hands. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she placed it down carefully. "Please," she said softly. "I need food. I haven't eaten properly in 2 days. Will you buy this?" Caleb didn't rush. He had learned that desperation deserved patience. He opened the pouch. Inside was a necklace. At first, it looked ordinary. Just another piece of jewelry from a passing traveler. But when the light from the bakery hit it, the stone shimmered strangely, reflecting soft colors across the counter. Caleb blinked, briefly impressed by its beauty, but nothing more. "I'm sorry," he said honestly. "I don't know much about jewelry." The woman's expression tightened with fear. "But I can give you $50 for it," he added. A pause. She looked at him as if deciding whether that amount would save her day or break it further. Then she nodded quickly. "Thank you," she said, almost in relief. Caleb handed her the money. She took it and left without looking back. The bell rang again as the door closed behind her. He took the necklace out and hung it near the front counter, just beside the display glass. It immediately changed the atmosphere of the bakery. The light hitting it scattered faint reflections across the wooden shelves, making the space feel almost refined, like a place slightly more expensive than it truly was. Customers noticed. Some paused longer at the counter. Others commented on how nice the bakery suddenly looked. Caleb smiled politely, accepting the compliments without much thought. To him, it was just decoration. Nothing more. The bell above the door rang again the next afternoon. A man stepped inside with calm confidence, scanning the bakery with the quiet precision of someone used to noticing details others missed. He wore a simple jacket, but everything about him suggested experience, wealth, and control. Victor Langston. A jeweler from New York City. He wasn't in Denver for business like most travelers. He was here for meetings, networking, and short visits that never lasted more than a few days. But today, he had only stopped for something small to eat. That was the plan. Until he looked up. And saw the necklace. His steps slowed. Then stopped. For a moment, his expression didn't change, but inside, something sharp and immediate clicked into place. Years of training, experience, and exposure to rare pieces all screamed the same truth at once. That was not decoration. That was not ordinary. That was rare. Extremely rare. Victor forced himself to look away casually, ordering food like nothing had happened. But his attention never left the counter. He watched the necklace again and again, confirming what he already knew. Then he made a decision. Slowly, he approached. Caleb looked up with a friendly smile. "Can I help you?" Victor glanced at the necklace briefly before speaking. "That piece there, is it for sale?" Caleb followed his gaze. "Oh, that? Yeah. I guess so. Maybe $200. Victor almost reacted instantly, but stopped himself. His instincts told him not to rush. Not yet. Instead, he nodded lightly. "I see," he said. "Let me think about it." But his mind was already racing. Because what he had just found was worth far more than the price that Caleb mentioned. $200. It was almost insulting. He had seen items like this sell for tens of thousands, sometimes more, depending on who was bidding and where it was being sold. But revealing that information too quickly would be a mistake. He had learned that patience often created better deals than honesty ever did. So he played it cool. "That's a bit high," Victor said casually, leaning slightly on the counter. "I could give you 100. Caleb shook his head without much thought. 200. That's fair. Victor nodded slowly, as if considering it seriously, though inside his mind was already working. He stepped back slightly. "I'll think about it," he said. But the truth was simple. He already wanted it. Still, greed didn't always scream. Sometimes it whispered. And Victor listened. Outside the bakery, the afternoon air felt ordinary. Cars passed. People walked. Life continued like nothing important was happening. But inside Victor's mind, time was no longer normal. It was pressure. He stood a short distance away from the bakery window, watching the necklace glow faintly under the lights. Every instinct told him to go back in immediately and secure it before anyone else noticed. But another voice argued with him. What if he could get it cheaper? That thought changed everything. Victor wasn't poor. He wasn't desperate. He was experienced, but experience sometimes created a dangerous illusion, the belief that opportunity would always wait. He checked his watch. He could leave, think about it, and return the next day. Caleb didn't seem to understand what he had. That meant there was no urgency, or so he believed. So he made his decision. I'll come back tomorrow, he said quietly to himself. And walked away. Back inside the bakery, Caleb continued serving customers as if nothing special had happened. The necklace still hung near the counter, catching light, unnoticed in its true value. Later that evening, just before closing, another customer entered, a regular who had visited the bakery many times before. He ordered bread, made small talk, and glanced around casually. Then his eyes landed on the necklace. He paused. That's beautiful, he said. Caleb smiled politely. You like it? I can sell it for $200. There was no hesitation. Sure. I'll take it. Caleb nodded, surprised at how quickly the decision was made, but pleased all the same. He wrapped up the sale, took the money, and handed over the necklace. Just like that, it was gone. And somewhere across the city, Victor Langston had no idea that his hesitation had already cost him this opportunity. The next morning, Victor Langston arrived early. Too early. He had barely slept. His mind had replayed the necklace over and over again, its cut, its glow, the unmistakable signature of rarity he couldn't unsee. The more he thought about it, the more certain he became that he had made the right call by waiting. In his mind, Caleb would still have it. It was still available. And today, he would correct yesterday's delay. Victor pushed open the bakery door with quiet confidence. The familiar bell rang above him, but this time it felt different. The shop looked the same, warm, simple, unchanged, but something in the air was off. Caleb looked up from behind the counter and smiled politely. Good morning. Victor didn't return the smile. I'm here for the necklace, he said directly. Caleb paused for a moment, as if trying to remember what he meant. Then his expression shifted slightly. Oh, that, he said. I already sold it. Victor blinked. Once. Then again. You. What? Caleb shrugged lightly. Yesterday evening. A customer liked it and bought it. For a second, Victor didn't respond. His mind refused to process the words properly. It didn't fit the timeline he had created in his head. It wasn't supposed to happen yet. Sold it, he repeated slowly. Caleb nodded. Yes. $200. Silence stretched between them. Victor's calm expression began to crack, not loudly, not dramatically, but in small, controlled pieces. Victor stood frozen for a moment longer than necessary. Then he laughed. But it wasn't a real laugh. It was empty, sharp at the edges, like something breaking under pressure. You sold it, he said again, quieter this time. Do you even know what that was? Caleb frowned slightly. Just a necklace. Victor closed his eyes briefly, exhaling through his nose as if trying to steady himself. When he opened them again, something in his expression had changed. Regret. Clear and unavoidable. That wasn't just a necklace, he said slowly. That was a rare diamond. Worth over $80,000, maybe more depending on the market. The words hung in the bakery like a sudden drop in temperature. Caleb didn't respond immediately. He simply looked toward the counter where it had once been, as if trying to connect the meaning of what he was hearing to what he had seen. But for him, it was still just something pretty. Nothing more. Victor stepped back slightly, running a hand through his hair, his frustration now turning inward. He had seen it. He had recognized it instantly. He had known its value better than anyone else in that room. And still. He waited. He negotiated. He had chosen delay over action. The world didn't pause for regret. But inside Victor's chest, the truth settled heavily. Opportunity had stood right in front of him. And he had let it walk away. Caleb returned quietly to his work, unaware that he had just witnessed a man losing something far more valuable than money. Victor turned toward the door. Before leaving, he glanced back once at the empty space near the counter. And in that moment, the lesson became painfully clear. Opportunity doesn't knock twice. And sometimes, greed is what takes it away. And as this story comes to an end, remember this clearly: opportunity doesn't knock twice. It arrives quietly, sometimes in the most ordinary moments, and it doesn't wait for us to think forever. Victor saw it, he understood it, he even knew its worth, but he delayed. Just a small delay, just a later, just a belief that there would be more time. But there wasn't. While he hesitated, the opportunity moved on, finding someone willing to act without knowing its true value. And that is how life often works: what you postpone today can become what you lose forever tomorrow. So as you reflect on this story, think about your own moments of hesitation, the chances you almost took, the decisions you delayed. Because in the end, opportunity doesn't knock twice, and when it leaves, it doesn't always say goodbye. If this story inspired you, then like this video and share it to someone that needs it. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for more inspirational and educational stories like this. See you in the next video.